The following video is my opinion. If you don't like it, make your own video. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the final days of 2016 are slowly winding down, and we are getting so close to 2017, and for some people this year has been nothing short of a disaster. But for me, it's been a pretty decent year. It's much better than 2015 and 14. Those years were horrible, for me anyway, but a lot of that has to do with WWE, because you know me, I'm a big wrestling fan, and I do a lot of wrestling on this channel, mostly with video games, but there are occasions where I talk about actual real-life wrestling, WWE. And that's where I'm doing this list, the top 10 WWE matches of 2016, per my opinion. And let's get started, but first, don't know why I'm making all these motions, but still, some honorable mentions. Now, it should go without saying that there weren't just 10 good matches this year. There was like possibly 30 different choices that I had going around in my head to put on this list, but I decided to do a top 20 list and I whittled it down to 20. Then I decided to do a top 10 list and I had to whittle it down even more. But there were still 20 matches that I do believe deserve a mention. So, the first 10 of that 20 are the honorable mentions. So, 10 honorable mentions. Starting with John Cena versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yeah, spoiler alert, John Cena versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam is not on my top 10. Before you light the torches and the pitchforks, why would you light your pitchfork? But before you crucify me in the comments section, just listen, hear me out. I think it's a good match. I just think it's extremely, extremely overrated. That being said, back to my honorable mentions before people come to my house with guns and try to kill me. Anywho, back to my honorable mentions. AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam. Comments, calm down. Dislike button, calm down. Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens in a last man standing match for the Intercontinental title at the Royal Rumble. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 for the NXT title. Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins at Battleground in a triple threat match for the WWE title. Triple H versus Dean Ambrose at Roadblock for the WWE title. Kevin Owens versus Cesaro versus Sami Zayn versus The Miz. Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental title at Extreme Rules. AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules in an Extreme Rules match for the WWE title. The SmackDown Live versus Raw main tag at Survivor Series, you know, the one with Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, all them. And TJ Perkins versus Kota Ibushi for the Cruiserweight Classic. And that pretty much rounds out my honorable mentions. Moving on to the actual list. Starting this top 10 list off with a bang, number 10 is Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam. Now, couple things. The reason why this isn't higher on the list, because I absolutely love this match, is for one reason and one reason only. The Universal Championship belt sucks. It's garbage. It looks like a giant red airhead or a Twizzler or something. It's just so bland and boring and just... And it was so bad, in fact, that the entire crowd was crapping on it throughout the majority of the match. Thankfully, the match was so good that Seth and Finn won the crowd back over. And the crowd went nuts for near the end of the match because the match was so good. We even got to see Seth Rollins bring back God's last gift, the suplex into the small package. That was freaking awesome. And both guys were just amazing in this match. I want to go back and watch this match now. Although I'd probably have to mute it because I don't want to hear the crowd booing the Universal belt the entire match. But again, it was a great match for a crappy belt. And what more needs to be said? It was a great match. It's too bad that Finn Balor got injured during it, which is another reason why it's not higher on this list, because it did lead to Finn Balor getting hurt. And it was a freak accident, it wasn't really anyone's fault, but still, that is my number 10. Up next is TJ Perkins versus Grand Metalik in the finals of the Cruiserweight Classic. Now, the CWC is going to appear a lot on this list because, honestly, it was the best thing WWE did all year. It was fantastic. And probably one of the best tournaments that they've ever done. And this was a very, very fitting and worthy finale. It was both these guys who had already had great matches earlier on the show, and that just is a testament how good these guys are. It was brutal, and my god, it had one of the most sick chops. And just look at TJ Perkins' chest after this match was over. Good lord, he looked like he was having a bad day. But man, this was great. And of course, a nice little surprise from Triple H, it was for the Cruiserweight Championship. Unfortunately, it really didn't amount to anything on Monday Night Raw, but up to this point, we could at least say, at least we had this. Because up to this point, it was fantastic. And that is my number 9. And number 8 is AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the WWE Championship. Finally, an AJ Styles match on this list. I know, right? But still, this was an epic match, and to cap off a really good pay-per-view. In my opinion, the best pay-per-view WWE did out all year outside of NXT. But again, this was a spectacular match. It was brutal. Tables, ladders, and chairs flying all over the place, which is all one could really ask for. And there are even moments during the match where Dean Ambrose turned into John Moxley. You know what I'm talking about, that suplex spot that ripped a hole in AJ Styles' pants? You know what I'm talking about. But still, this was a great match, and it even had a springboard 450 splash to the outside of the ring through a table. That alone, that spot right there, makes it on this list. But the reason why it's so low on the list, or relatively low, is because of the obligatory swerve, which was James Ellsworth turning heel on Dean Ambrose for pretty weird reasons. That little nitpick aside, this was a great match, and honestly, one of the best main events WWE has had this year. And that is why it is number 8. My number 7 might surprise a few people, but it's Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank for the WWE World Heavyweight title. And I know this is probably not going to make it on pretty much anyone's top 10 list, and maybe some honorable mentions, but I honestly loved this match. And it was on a kind of underwhelming Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and honestly, this and the Money in the Bank ladder match were pretty much the matches of the night. And more about Money in the Bank later, but still, this was a great match. Seth Rollins, his first match back, he looked awesome. Roman Reigns was great as the big guy, even though he was wrestling as a heel, he wasn't a heel because that was smart. Seth Rollins wrestling like a babyface, but was supposed to be the heel. Just gosh dang it, WWE, get these right. But still, this was a great match, and it involved one of the coolest spots of the year. Roman Reigns going for a spear, but getting caught mid-air by a pedigree. That was absolutely just amazing. And then Seth Rollins pinning Roman Reigns relatively clean. I mean, they kind of protected Roman Reigns when he hit the spear, but Seth Rollins winning by himself, and of course Dean Ambrose cashing in Money in the Bank afterwards was just the cherry on top, and that is my number 7. I don't care if anyone else disagrees with me. I love this match. Number 6 is hashtag DIY versus The Revival. 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT tag titles at NXT TakeOver Toronto. Now this is the only tag team match that's on my top 10, and it's pretty much the best tag team match of the year. I mean, seriously, you have DIY, which are 2 of the best wrestlers in the world, 2 of the best independent wrestlers in the world, and The Revival. In many people's opinions, including some of my best friends, the best tag team in WWE right now. I think they're the second best tag team because American Alpha. I mean, come on, you gotta go with the pure wrestlers on this one. But still, this was a fantastic match. I mean, DIY are just perfect baby faces. The Revival are perfect heels. This was perfectly executed. It was so exciting. And like the tension was at an all-time high throughout the entire match. And the finish, of course, was fantastic. Double submission. When's the last time we saw Gargano put someone away with the Gargano's Gate? I mean, seriously. This match was excellent. And that is number 6. Up next is, in my opinion, the best match on the main roster all year, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens at Battleground. This match ruled. everything about this match. I mean, the crowd was insane. Both these guys are two of the best professional wrestlers on earth right now. And even though they've faced each other numerous times before this match was still one of their best. It was even better than their match at Payback, and their match at Payback was fantastic. And that just goes to show you just how good these guys are. There was even a botch in this match that Kevin Owens was like, screw it, I'm going to work it into the match. And he worked over his arm, even though he wasn't supposed to. These two guys put the professional in professional wrestling, because they're so good. And they tried to kill each other several times in this match. There was a freaking brainbuster on the apron, and one of the most underrated spots of the year. Kevin Owens cannonballing Sami Zayn's head into the ring post. Just, how are these guys not dead? That was death. And the finish was really, really great. Sami Zayn trying to decapitate Kevin Owens with the haluva kick over and over again. It was just great. Nice, very fitting ending to their story. Over a year-long worth of build. Everything was just right, and it was great. Too bad that Sami Zayn really didn't amount to do anything in 2016 after this, but it was still a great match, and in my opinion, the best match on the main roster all year, and that is number 5. Up next is probably going to be number 1 for a lot of people, but for me, it's number 4. Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi at the Cruiserweight Classic. I believe this is the second round, but this match, it was just phenomenal. Cedric Alexander is amazing, and Kota Ibushi is arguably one of the best professional wrestlers ever, like in the world today. And these two tore the house down. And this wasn't even like in the semifinals or the finals. This was like round 2, and it was absolutely epic, and everyone loved this match. And again, this is probably going to be on a lot of like the top 10 lists, probably number 1 on several lists, but for me, there were 3 matches that were just a little bit better, but still, this match was amazing. Cedric Alexander, just so great. His reactions to Kota Ibushi kicking out of his moves, Kota Ibushi just being an absolute delight to watch. You could watch this match over and over and over and over again and not get sick of it. And it was just fantastic. And of course, the please sign Cedric chants at the end of the match. That was nice too, just the CWC. Do more of CWC, I miss it so much, it was so good. Up next is another Cruiserweight Classic match. Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in the first round, the very last match of the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic. This match was so intense. It was amazing to watch. I mean, from the very first elbow strike where it looked like Tommaso Ciampa broke Johnny's jaw, this match just sunk its hook into me and kept me at a level throughout. This match was so good, and it was the ultimate, one guy is destroying the other guy, but the other guy just barely hangs on. It was just a great story throughout. Plus, these guys are like best friends. One of them went to the other one's wedding. What in the world is happening? And any match that pulls out a powerbomb lung blower, that instantly gets my seal of approval, because that move is just amazing. But yeah, this match ruled. The finish was perfect, and the post-match was just pulls at your heartstrings. Just absolutely fantastic. And that is my number 3. What in the world could be next? Thought this was going to be number 1, didn't you? I know. I'm surprised too, but for a long time this was my number 1 match of the year. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver Dallas. Dallas was a great show, and infamous for pulling the rug out from under WrestleMania, like it normally does. But still, this match was just an experience. It wasn't even a match, it was an experience. Both these guys are so good. Shinsuke Nakamura is just the best. He oozes charisma. He's so good. Everything he does looks absolutely devastating. And Sami Zayn is just the best seller in WWE and one of the best wrestlers. Put these two combustible elements together and it will be amazing. And I know Shinsuke Nakamura wasn't all over this list, but I loved pretty much all of his matches. Like Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura wasn't even in my honorable mentions, but I still really liked that match. But this match, for several months, was my number 1 because it was fantastic. And the crowd was like rabid. Just go back and watch this match, okay? that's what I'm going to do after I'm done with this video. I'm going to go back and watch pretty much all these matches, especially this one, and number 1, which is right up here after this one. What could it be? Oh, it's a mystery. What is number 1? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to number 1, and we saw some great matches, but what is number 1? It's not Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. It's not Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi. It sure as heck isn't AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam. What is my number 1 match of 2016? Well, oh yeah, that's right. I bet you didn't see this one coming, but my favorite match in WWE of 2016 is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Drew Gulak in the Cruiserweight Classic. I can personally guarantee you that this is not going to be on anyone else's top 10 ever, unless they're a really strange wrestling fan like I am. But no other match this year almost moved me to tears. I am dead serious. This match touched me on the inside. Made me feel genuinely happy. Not that the other matches didn't, but this one really, really connected with me. Because, really, honestly, the first 30 seconds of the match, when Zack and Drew straight up went into pure amateur wrestling war mode, that was the best exchange I've seen in WWE all year, that 30 seconds. I used to be an amateur wrestler. It's one of the hardest things out there. And anyone who can do what those two did immediately just has all of my respect. And then the rest of the match was awesome. Zack Sabre Jr., hands down, is the best technical wrestler in WWE, or the world right now. Just no question, he's the technical wizard. And Drew Gulak kept up with him, and he proved that he's no slouch either. They're both awesome, and this match was fantastic. And who can forget the gory special where it looked like he was about to rip Zack's arms off. Everything about this match, including the finish where Zack did that incredibly insane pinning combination. I don't even know what you call it. This match was darn near perfect. And it is my number 1. Yeah, that is my top 10 WWE matches of 2016. This was a pretty solid year for WWE. Some great matches, including the CWC, which was fantastic. And I can guarantee that your matches are probably going to be different from mine. What are your top 10 favorite matches of 2016? And this is a top 10 best video. I am going to be doing a top 10 worst video. Top 10 worst matches of WWE in 2016. Be looking forward to that. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you like, comment, subscribe to the video, all that fun stuff. You know the drill. Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.